Hi, and welcome to week 2 of the Vocation course. I hope you appreciated and enjoyed reading the call stories from last week. I got to know a little bit more of David and Samuel and others, maybe even Mary, as you thought about that Christmas story in a different light, because now it's framed as a call story. So hopefully that helped you. You thought through some things a little bit differently, and you're already starting to think, what does it look like to be called? Well, we're going to look one more week at a Bible character or person. We're going to be looking at the life of Jesus. You're going to be reading the Gospel of Mark this week. And I want you to kind of ask yourself some questions. You're actually going to be creating a graph, a chart, some kind of a spreadsheet or something to identify certain places where you see, when did Jesus know who he was? What kind of glimpses do we see in the text that identifies Jesus as understanding who he was, or asking questions of others about who he was? When did he enter his calling? And really the fundamental question, when did Jesus know who he was and what his mission was? It's hard to imagine that as a little baby in his mother's womb, he was like an adult in his head. So as he grew, when did that all kind of the British have a phrase, the penny dropped? When did the light bulb go on and Jesus suddenly realized who he was? Or was it sort of a long general process? What can you see when you read the Gospel of Mark? One of the things that you will definitely see in the Gospel of Mark is Jesus referring to himself as the Son of Man. Now, what does that mean? Why did he do that? There are some very significant reasons, because he was trying to present himself as a different Messiah than the one that was expected. At that time, there was a lot of messianic hopes that the Messiah would come and kick the Romans out of the country and restore everything back to how it had been in the prime years of Israel's life as a nation, kind of back to the days of King David, King Solomon. But Jesus had a very different point of view, very different idea of what it meant to be the Messiah. And so he uses this cryptic phrase, the Son of Man, and it actually comes from two completely different references in the Old Testament. The first one is from the book of Ezekiel, and if you get like an NIV Bible or something and just sort of start flicking through the book of Ezekiel, you'll see that every time God speaks to Ezekiel, he says, Son of Man, da-da-da-da-da-da. So it essentially just means human. Human being, do this or that, understand this. But the second reference comes from Daniel in the 7th chapter, when Daniel has a vision of heaven, and he says, I saw one like the Son of Man. And there, the Son of Man is this divine figure. And so by using this phrase, Jesus is kind of saying to one group, I'm divine, another group, I'm just a normal human. It's ambiguous enough so that nobody grabs him and says, great, here's our army, let's go kick out the Romans. It got people thinking, which is what Jesus does a lot. It got people thinking about who he was and what that all meant. So as you identify and recognize, look for those phrases, the Son of Man. I might encourage you this week, as you are going through the entire book of Mark, to maybe listen to it in an audio format. That there are many places, BibleGateway.com, or if you just Google free audio Bible, there's a couple places that provide free contemporary versions of the Bible that you can listen to. The only issue would be you may have to listen with your computer so that you can identify those places where you want to put it into your chart. But if you're driving something, you may want to listen to the text. This week as well, for our discussion, we won't be having a typed out discussion on the discussion forum. You will still go to the discussion forum, but I'm going to introduce something new to you this week. It's called VoiceThread, and it's essentially an opportunity to have a voice conversation. You don't have to post a video, but you do post your voice in the discussion. I'll raise a question, and you will just simply respond. You'll need an opportunity to have your computer record voice. And VoiceThread provides all that. All you have to do is click yes, 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 and it's ready to go. And it's like a campfire. It's an opportunity for different people to speak around the fire, around the circle. So please engage yourself in that VoiceThread this week. I look forward to hearing your voices and interacting in that way versus the typed out version. So look forward to seeing you this week as we talk about Jesus and his own understanding of his call story. Have a great week. Enjoy the reading. We'll talk to you next week.